Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can take some estate sales or garage sale finds into art. So the other day I was driving home and I saw a sign for a estate sale. So I just decided, hey, I'll pull over and check out, see what these guys have for sale. Um, they didn't have a whole lot of things that were appealing to me, but I did happen to find this this Lazy Susan. So I acquired this Lazy Susan, which doesn't look like much now. I mean, it's used. This is about a 19-inch um, piece. Pieces like this, I did a quick search. They're if you buy them new, they're like $30 to $40, something like that. I was able to snag this up for $8. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. Um, and then, so for a total of $10, I also got this Morton's antique can. And there it says, "When it rains, it pours," and that is most definitely true. And I'm just going to use this to keep like my brushes and stir sticks and stuff like that, pens. So I just thought that was kind of cool to have. And then another thing I found is this spoon. It's a Texas spoon. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to Dallas, Texas. That's where I'm from. But that is like, the buildings here, or some of the buildings back in the day, because Dallas has grown a lot. And this little guy here, that's Reunion Tower. And what's funny is it was a little bent when I got it, and I tried to straighten it out. And when I pushed it over, I actually broke it off. So I broke Reunion Tower off, and I was like, oh no. So I grabbed some super glue and glued it back on, but I glued it back on a little crooked. So now it's the crooked D, I guess. Anyways, enough about my findings. Let's get to it. So this is going to be our canvas. It's pretty big. Like I said, it's like a 19-inch. It's not perfect, but that's okay because we are going to make it perfect. It's got this old felt on the bottom. I think we'll end up ripping that off and refelting it. And then for the top of it, since this obviously was used, in somebody's home, there might be like some oils or, stuff that's gotten into this wood. So the first thing I'm going to do is clean that up. And by that, I mean I'm going to take an alcohol wipe like this, or you can just take, like a microfiber towel with some alcohol, 91% rubbing alcohol. These wipes I get from Amazon. They just already come, you know, ready to go. You pull one and go. I'm just going to wipe it down, and what this is going to do is just kind of get that top layer of oil and grime off, just to get it prepped for what we're going to be doing to it. So that's pretty good. I mean, you can see what it pulled off of it. So we're done with that. We're gonna let this flash dry out, which will happen fairly quick. Next step is we're gonna sand this. We're gonna take 220 grit sandpaper and we're gonna sand this. Um, Sand it really good. Sand the edges, and then after I sand it, we're gonna blow it off. Come back here into the hobby room, and then we are going to seal this with a product called a polycrylic, which is this stuff. So the reason we're going to use this is because it's going to seal up any little cracks or imperfections in this board here, and also if there's any oils or anything that's going to want to come back up that's saturated in there, that this is going to seal it and prevent it from coming through our resin art piece. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to take this out to the garage and sand it, and then we will continue with the next step. So I will be right back. Alright guys, we're back. So you can see this is nice and smooth. You can see where it took off some some small spots, but that's okay. As long as we get it nice and smooth. I did go ahead and wipe it down with a damp cloth out there in the garage. I blew it off and then wiped it down with a damp cloth to just get any remaining dust off of it. Also, the polyacrylic directions say for you to do that. Taco, what are you doing? Sorry, guys. What I'm going to do still is take another alcohol wipe. If I can get one out of this container. Take another alcohol wipe just to, if there's any oils left there and whatever that damp cloth didn't get, this will basically get it. So we're going to let that flash, let it dry out. That stuff dries up pretty quickly. This says directions: stir well before and regularly during use. Do not shake. So don't shake this up, guys. Finish appears milky in can, but dries crystal clear. It says apply a thin coat. Apply in direction of the wood grain. Do not brush. Do not overbrush. Let dry at least 2 hours. Then sand with a very fine sandpaper, 220 grit, to ensure an even finish. And then we can do our resin after that. So we're going to pop this can open. Got my handy flathead. I've never used this stuff, but you can see how milky that looks. Just going to take a stir stick, just to stir this up good. On there. And as far as what I'm going to use to apply this, use one of these little foam brushes, little cheapies. I think they're like 99 cents or $1.50 a piece, something like that. Let's see. Just gonna pour it on there. All right. So it says to apply thin coats. So hope I didn't over apply. That's probably enough when I pour it on there. That over. And probably the reason they say to apply in the direction of the wood, I think that's for, you know, if you weren't going to do anything else to it. Like if, for example, I'm just putting that finish over this and then I'm going to be done. But, you know, that's not the case for us with this. But we'll follow directions. So yeah, I definitely put a bit too much on there. I'm gonna take a paper towel, just see if I can clean up some of this excess. So just slick it back out. Brush your edges. You can see how, I guess, as it starts to dry, it is pretty clear. Just get these edges. And that's pretty much it, guys. We are going to let this sit up for 2 hours, it says. Then we'll come back and continue. So we'll let it dry. So I will see you guys a little bit later. Talk to you soon. All right, guys, we are back. Our polycrylic has fully cured. I know on the can it says to wait at least 2 hours before you sand and apply anything. I let this dry for about 5 hours. So now that it's nice and dry, we are going to lightly sand it with 220 just to give that resin, you know, something to stick to. So I'm going to go out to the garage real quick and scuff this up with some 220, and then we will be back. So move on to the next step. All right, guys, we're back. As you can see it's not as doesn't have that sheen. You can see the scratches in it. You don't want to completely sand off that polycrylic. You just want to scuff it, like I mentioned before. I did go ahead and blow it off out there in the garage with my air compressor. Now, the next thing is I'm going to wipe it down with an alcohol wipe, just so it'll pick up any dust that's left behind. That's dust that we can't see. That's pretty good. We'll be safe and we'll give it another wipe. So we got that ready. I'm just going to move this over to the side just because lack of workspace. So now we're going to mix up our resin. Got our mixing cup. Got our art coat by Stonecoat Countertops. Part A and Part B. Part A is the resin, Part B is the hardener. And for this piece, I'm going to be using just resin pigments. The colors I picked out are silver gray, titanium white, ATD fireball, and just some black. So we're going to start mixing our resin. Always start off with B, the hardener, just because it's easier to pour out. And since this is a larger piece, I'm going to mix up as much resin as I can, just to make sure I have enough. And as always, I like to have extra resin to pour into my molds. So we're going to mix up 5 ounces of each, giving us 10 ounces total. Kind of wish I had a bigger mixing cup, but we're going to work with what I got. You want to mix this stuff up for 2 to 3 minutes. You want to scrape the stir stick like that. Scrape the sides and the bottom, just to ensure a proper mix so that our art piece cures. Otherwise, you're going to have soft spots in the resin, and it's not going to cure, and you're going to have wasted materials and your time. You'll get frustrated. So always mix this stuff up really good. Try not to agitate it too much where you're introducing a lot of air into it. And air bubbles are going to happen, but we just want to try to minimize those. We'll be able to work work out the air bubbles with our blowtorch or with the heat gun, but we just always want to minimize the amount of air that we mix into our resin. So yeah, this is the boring part of the video, as I like to call it. But you know, for our first time viewers out there, I want to show step by step. Because I thought about, you know, pre-mixing the resin, but that's not fair to our new viewers. So I show step by step, so you can recreate this at home and just see how easy you can do this. Mix this up just for a little bit longer. Like I said, I should have used a bigger mixing cup, but this is all I have on me, so the bigger mixing cups are on my list of supplies I need to buy, so I'm going to get those this weekend. I think that's good enough. Set that aside. And as always, guys, I'm wearing latex gloves. You want to protect your hands. You don't want to get this stuff all over you. You might have a reaction to the resin, so let's play it safe. And it's easier for cleanup. So we have 4 different colors. So we got our 4 mixing cups. Save some. So even with your pigments, it's a just good practice to mix your pigments up, because they will settle. So you want, you know, an even color. It's just good practice to mix them up. So here's our silver gray. This is probably one of my favorite pigments that they make. I just really love this gray. I think it goes well with a lot of things. Like that. This is our titanium white. Same thing with your when you're mixing your pigments. Scrape the stir stick. Make sure you mix that color in there good. That's good. Set those aside. Next, we're going to do some black. Set that guy aside. Then this color, the ATD Fireball. I haven't used this color yet, so I'm pretty excited to use this. It's got some, you guys see that? It's got some shimmer to it, some metallics in it. I have that camera up pretty high right now, so you guys can see, you know, the entire, well, most of the Lazy Susan. Once we start pouring on it, you can see, yeah, the color's nice. I'm gonna have to add that to one of my favorite colors, I think. Alright, we're going to set that aside. And this guy over here. Let's get our board back up here. I'm going to change out gloves because they got a little messy. They got some color on it. I don't want to put color on it, you know, on the Lazy Susan, you know, where I don't want color or that color. So anyways, fresh pair of gloves. Make sure you always have extra gloves. You can never have enough. So I have just some resin here, and I'm just going to pour some of this out. And this is called greasing the pan. And it's so once you apply your colors, it's going to flow a lot better. Actually, I'm going to use up all of it. This is the biggest piece I've ever worked on, as well as a piece that you know, I'm not really gonna like pick it up and tilt it and shift the resin around. I'm going to be using the heat gun. I'm just making sure there's resin on every single part of this, on the edges, so that our resin flows. on these edges as well. You don't want to have any dry spots. I think that's pretty good. So for the first color, I'm going to start with this gray. And I really don't have a plan for this. I'm just kind of going with the flow. Grab some white. I think gray is really light. So I wonder what the white next to it's gonna. Well, you can see the contrast. Oh man, I may be needing to mix up some more resin. I don't know. We're gonna find out. There's that. Now black, it's very overpowering. So I'm gonna try to be stingy with it. So I don't want it to take over. Let's do our red. Get y'all back in focus. Ooh, let's see there. Alright. See what we have here. Let the resin flow a little bit. Alright, I am going to get the torch out. Put some butane in it. I'm just going to torch it so it'll flow a little bit better. And just kind of get those bubbles. The bubbles out. It's time to hook up our heat gun. Start moving this resin around. It kind of looks like a snake. What do you call those snakes? I don't know, is it poisonous or not poisonous? What is it, like red and black, you're dead? Something like that. Red and yellow, you're safe. I'm gonna start moving the resin around, play with it, trying to make sure it covers the wood. You can see the wood here, you know, with those areas. So I want to make sure I have enough coverage. I really don't know what this is gonna be. Let's try a swipe technique on this. So I'm just taking some of this wax paper. I don't have anything lighter than this. So I'm just gonna hit this white right here and just drag it all the way through. Got another piece of wax paper. Spin up. There's something in there. There's something in our resin. You guys can see that. Okay. Making a mess. That's alright. Now, see a lot of bubbles. I'm gonna hit it with the torch. Just thin out the resin some more. I'm gonna push it a little bit more. No, I don't like this. These spots here. Look bare. So I may be mixing up some more resin. I don't know yet. But you guys can see where the black is taking over. And I don't really want that. So what I'm trying to do is save it maybe. Maybe I can tilt this some. Move a little. I said I wasn't going to be tilting it, but I am. So and we got some drips there. Let me grab a paper towel. Kind of looks like a marble right now. Let's see what the heat gun can do. Still have some red. Oh, red here. Kind of gave it like these red veins, you could say. You hit that with the torch, get those bubbles out. mixing stick here. And I give it little veins. So I'm just giving this like little whiskers, veins you could say. So to me this looks like, I don't know, like a marble, like a, I don't know, a dark planet per se. We're just experimenting, you know. There's no wrong or right way to do this. I just wanted to see how these colors would react. It's nice you can spin it around. I wish I could do that with, you know, just a regular board. I guess maybe if you put it on, you put your board on a Lazy Susan and work off of that. I mean, I guess you could. Hey, I think I'm onto something here. Make like the Lazy Susan your easel. So I'm just taking my stir stick and scraping up little bits of red out. I've gotten really, I don't know what you call the word, abstract with this. I didn't like the veins. So we are freestyling. And I really like this a lot better than what we had. It's very abstract, I guess that's the word. Make sure I get plenty of color here on this edge. I could see the wood showing through. Edges. So you want to go around and rub in your edges, any drips you may have, smooth them out. Got our edges covered. And there's a lot of bubbles in this from me using that stir stick, giving it that pattern. So I'm going to hit it one last time with the torch, just so we get those bubbles out. Remember not to get too close. You don't want to burn the resin. You just maybe 6 inches, something like that. There you have it, guys. What do y'all think? This is very abstract, very different. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. So I'm just taking color, it's stripped off, and filling in any little voids on the edges there. So you're going to want to watch this for, the next couple hours. Come back to it. Smooth out those drips. You don't have to, but if you don't smooth them out, you're still going to have the drips there. And once this cures, you're going to have more work for yourself, so you're going to have to come back and sand those smooth. So basically what you're doing right now is minimizing the amount of work that you have to do later once it cures. And you know, just sitting here, like, this is still changing. Like, I'm starting to see some cells in there. You know, the resin's gonna move around and do its own thing. So it would be very hard to replicate this piece for sure. I like it. Something different, something unique. I'm going to zoom in for you guys. You can see where the cells are popping up. So this is very different. I don't know that I would use this in my kitchen. I mean, these colors won't work in my kitchen, but you know, I could maybe use this to display other pieces, or you know, it doesn't just because it's a Lazy Susan doesn't mean you have to use it in the kitchen. So I may end up just keeping this and you know setting like little figurines that I have on it, or you know something like that. But you know if somebody likes it, then you know they're more welcome to get this off of me. But I really like it. Really dark, I guess you could say. Give you guys last view of it. So with that being done, you know, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out, subscribing to my channel. If you liked what you saw, hit that like button, hit that share button. You know, let's help my channel grow if you guys can. I do have some other cool projects that I'm going to share with you guys. Just waiting for some materials to come in, and I'll probably do a short video of this once it's cured. Because like I said, this is still changing a little bit. And in that video, that way I can pick it up and show you guys, you know, a more up and close view of everything. But with that being said, guys, I want to thank you guys for sticking around, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.